All right, from downtown Pittsburgh, this is John Krysinsky. I'm founder, managing editor of Pittsburgh Soccer Now, and I've got a very, very special guest here in the studio today, Anthony Harding, local product soccer player,
Yep.
who's you've played for a number of outstanding teams and organizations, and now you are stepping foot into the United States fourth division soccer to play with the new Pittsburgh Hotspurs. Anthony, welcome to the studio.
Thank you, John.
It's great to have you here. Just before we got started, just getting to know Anthony a little bit. Anthony has we'll get into his bio a little bit more in detail, in depth, in a little bit. But Anthony is a Norwin High School grad.
Yep.
And he currently attends the University of Pittsburgh, where he plays for Pitt's program. Redshirted this past year, and he during the summer months have the opportunity to play with the Hotspurs. So before we get into a little Q&A with you, we wanted to just kind of introduce maybe some of those of you who don't know too much about the Pittsburgh Hotspurs. They are the newest franchise in NPSL, which is the National Premier Soccer League. The Hotspurs are, like I said, a new entity in NPSL, but they will be replacing Pittsburgh, the last team from Pittsburgh, which was the Fort Pitt Regiment, who were in the NPSL from 2014 to 2018. And now the Hotspurs have sort of jumped into that spot, into that opportunity, the NPSL, where we're hoping to have a Pittsburgh-based team, and thank goodness for the Hotspurs organization, which has been around for a long time, since I believe 1988 or so, somewhere around there. So you guys are getting ready for your first game. It's going to be Saturday at Edinburgh. They'll be taking on a team that we're somewhat familiar with here in Western Pennsylvania, the Erie Commodores, who took on obviously the Fort Pitt Regiment within the NPSL in the past, in the same conference, but also took on the Riverhounds last year at the United States Open Cup second round. Also, your home games will be at Ellis Field in Shadyside. So anybody's looking to get out to see the Hotspurs play, they'll be playing at Ellis Field in Shadyside, at Ellis School in Shadyside. So a real nice complex. Steel City FC have played there in recent years, and was talking earlier, finding out too earlier that some of your home games will be played back to back with Steel City FC as well. So, and the Hotspurs are coached by Tom Campbell. Also, they have a lot of local players, so we'll get into that in a little bit. But let's get to know Anthony a little bit better. As I introduced you, you kind of started out as a youth player. You're from the Norwin. You went to Norwin School District, and you played, obviously, growing up in that area, and also for Penn's Forest, right?
Yeah. So the biggest thing for me in high school from my coach was probably my work ethic. Scotty Sugar was my high school coach, and the biggest thing he taught me was no matter how small you are, you could go very far. And I've been working with him every day this summer. He has his own landscaping business, and my dad coached me from 7 to 13 through Penn's Forest. And after that, when I was 14, I went to the Riverhounds Academy until I was 19, and now I'm at Pitt.
So obviously, what growing up, what was type of player you were as a kid? What kind of style did you like to play as a younger player?
My dad always used to tell me that wherever the ball was, I was. I always wanted the ball, and I was always crowded around it, and I was a very physical player. And he always told me, and all my coaches usually told me, that I had a left foot, and that's something that could take you very far, because not a lot of players have that.
So obviously now at this level, you're playing collegiately, you're playing at this fourth division in the NPSL. Left-footed, you're an outside back, is my understanding, and sometimes you'll play a little bit out on the flank as well?
Yep. Usually left back.
Yeah, so somebody's going to see Anthony Harding out on the field. What should they expect when they see you out there?
I mean, every battle that I'm going to go into, I'm going to go into it all out. I'm not going to be soft on any tackle, and I like to attack. If I'm going to be playing outside back, I think I need to know when I'm going to hold and when I'm going to go, and sometimes I like to go forward a little bit too much, and that's what Jay's been telling me at Pitt, but I think I've learned a lot since I've been with him, and I'm on the right path.
All right. Well, we're looking forward to seeing you play, obviously, with the Hotspurs. But let's go back a little bit. You've kind of had to overcome some adversity. His senior year at Norwin,
Yeah.
you're probably all primed, ready for a big year, and,
Yeah.
and just maybe tell us what happened.
Yeah, going into my senior year, I committed to Penn State that summer, and then the first game of high school, I broke my 5th metatarsal in my foot, and I was on a scooter for 6 months. And my high school coach really never got his first playoff win, and that was the one thing that bugged me every game sitting on that sideline, that I couldn't give him that win. And after that whole summer, after I came back, I worked so hard to get where I was. And when I came into Pitt, I don't think I was where I needed to be. But after being with a great coaching staff there for 9 months, around there, I think that I've improved more than I ever have in my life in those 9 months.
Yeah, well, take me back to the recruiting process. Though, you were injured before. Did you commit to Pitt before you were injured, or did that happen?
No, I was committed to Penn State my senior year. Then I broke my foot, and then it was like a little after March, that I decided to switch to Pitt, just because Penn State got a whole new coaching staff, and the new head coach went to Omaha, and he was telling me, like, hey, come to Omaha, and I was like, it's just too far. So Jay saw me training down with the Riverhounds, and that's how I ended up there.
Yeah, so Jay Vidovich at Pitt, came in he'll be going into his 4th year at Pitt, and in 4 years he's gotten Pitt to the point where kind of on the verge of national rankings in the last couple of years, particularly in 2017. Last year, a little sub-500 season, but got into the ACC playoffs tournament and won a game. So, and you were part of that. You were there. I know you were redshirted, but you were part of that team this last year. What was that like?
Yeah, I think beating Virginia 2-0, that was a game changer as a team, to know the potential we have for these upcoming years, and just the talent we have coming in this year too. We have a guy from New York City FC who's supposed to be top notch. He's training with the first team right now, and I think we have a couple other guys that are going to really take us forward this year. Yeah,
we're looking forward to seeing Pitt, but that's a little down the road, at least for you in the fall. I know you're excited about.
Yeah.
We're all excited to see, in his 4th year under Coach Vidovich. We were talking earlier, too, a little bit about Coach. Anything you can share in terms of, he seems like he's a very detail-oriented coach, isn't he?
Yeah, I think every little thing you do with your lifestyle revolves around soccer. I mean, when I came into Pitt, I wasn't really a soccer player. I was just an athlete. I think he changed me to realize that if I want to become a pro, I need to become a soccer player. And everything I do, every little detail has to revolve around Pitt, my teammates, and even off the field, I have to carry myself and carry the crest.
And you're at Pitt during a pretty exciting time. You just said carry the crest. You guys actually have a soccer crest.
Yeah,
this is cool.
brand new this year.
We got the chance to see that revealed recently, but maybe in terms of this is a coach that's won national championships at Wake Forest, and coming into Pitt, I mean, is just maybe what have you learned, maybe in a little bit more detail? What have you learned from him to help make you a better player?
I think the biggest thing is knowing your weaknesses and working on them to become better. Because I mean, anyone can show up on the field every day and make it an obligation to be there, but some people want to show up every day and get better. And those players, when he's coaching us, those are the ones that are going to make it far. And as a player, I think that I give it my all every practice, and I want to become better. I want to be on that field as a team this year when we do big things. And everything as a player I've become better as, tactically, technically, mentally, off the field. I think I've just matured so much as a person because of him.
And obviously the level of players that he's recruiting What are those training sessions like? I know there's a lot of quality players there.
Yeah, I think last year he brought in the 5th highest recruiting class in the country, and just being around other players, I think they're coming from 7 or 8 different countries, so you have diversity all over the place, and just being around them makes you better. Like, not even on the field, even when we're in the locker room, just seeing what they do and trying to be like them, not be like them, but see what they do, what helps you. And even on the field, just trying to learn the people in my position, people outside my position. Communication on the field is just completely different to what I've been used to before Pitt.
Yeah, and being a redshirt too, you've even said that you needed that year to kind of learn how to become more professional, even though you're in a collegiate situation.
Yeah, I think after I broke my foot, I really never truly recovered from it. I was out of shape coming in. I broke my foot. I was out for 6 months, and when I came into Pitt, I wasn't at the level of play they were at, and I worked every day just to get there. And then in the spring, I got to start 3 games and play full 90s, and I think I've learned that I'm at the level of play now. I just got to keep working to stay there.
And now, speaking of keep working, you have this opportunity this summer with the Hotspurs. Talk about the past few weeks. I know you guys have just started to come together and train together and that sort of thing. What's it been like? What's that dynamic with a lot of these guys that maybe play for other schools? Some guys have played in the pros and that sort of thing.
I think the first thing was the first tryout. The coaching staff was looking for players, and I thought that I wanted to be a part of this team. I wanted to lead this team. I wanted to be a big part of it. And when I'm playing, I'm representing Pittsburgh, so I can't be slacking around. I got to be carrying everyone behind me. And we got guys that are 29, some guys that are younger than me. It's all over the place, so you just got to bring them all in together and be one instead of trying to think you're better than someone because they play somewhere else or whatever.
Yeah, and so like I was saying earlier during the introduction, the Hotspurs kind of made up of a lot of players that are currently playing collegiately, but also players that are still looking for those opportunities to play at a very high level. And there's a few former Fort Pitt Regiment players, a few familiar names you may have heard. Nicky Kolaric. Nicky had played, obviously, at the Riverhounds. Yeah. He was a West Allegheny guy, and he will return. He was the captain last year of the Fort Pitt group. We also saw, Kiesel Broom, who played goalkeeper for the Riverhounds as well, as part of your group. So the people who follow the Riverhounds, those are the 2 names that maybe most familiar with. And then there's a lot of younger local players that you know. Maybe you could share some of the guys that you're...
Yeah, some of the local players are Luke Mort, Austin Kranick, Ethan Hackenberg, Tate Mahoney, and Sean Abraham. Oh, he's in my grade, but I've played with him growing up my whole life. And most of these guys, I mean, we've been more than just like teammates. We were over each other's houses every day growing up. I mean, and they're great soccer players. Austin just committed to Oakland. Luke's at Pitt with me right now. Hackenberg's probably going to go somewhere big. And Sean's at Penn State Barron. So I think Tate just committed somewhere too, and he's been playing like internationally with ODP. Yeah. So, and just like I've been at Pitt for the past year, so seeing them at these couple practices recently and getting to play with them again it's a good feeling.
Yeah, well, since you mentioned Luke, and you said you've known Luke for a long time, you guys play together. Now you're going to be together at Pitt, and you're playing together with the Hotspurs. What will he bring to, obviously, the Hotspurs, but also as people looking forward to him being at Pitt as well? He did play this. He graduated early, so he could play in the spring with Pitt. And what was that like to have him there, and what's he going to bring to the table?
I think the one thing he brings to the table is speed, and he's not afraid to go at someone, and playing with him at Hotspurs this summer is really going to help both of us for when we go into Pitt. I mean, these last couple practices, he's been playing left wing, I've been playing left back. So, I mean, we just got to hold down that left side, and when we go back to Pitt, I think getting in some games this summer is really going to help us get to know, get our endurance up and get our touches on the ball, just so when we go to Pitt, we're ready for the season.
And you see guys like Nicky, we just mentioned. Also, this year, the Riverhounds did sign. Obviously, you played for the Development Academy, but to see Robbie Mertz doing so well. I don't know how well you know Robbie at all, but just to see the fact that he's gotten a few starts now and he's made a difference, and a kid from Pittsburgh can play at that level.
Yeah, last summer I trained with Robbie with the Riverhounds with the first team, and what stood out to me was his work ethic. I mean, he knew that he was playing with Michigan at the time, and he was just there to train, but you could tell that he wanted to be the best player on that field. And I think his senior year at Michigan really helped him out. And as soon as he was in that combine, he got signed. I immediately reached out to him just to congratulate him. And now to see him playing at our local team with the Riverhounds and starting, I mean, it's just good for him.
Yeah, it's great for him. We're glad to see that. But let's go back to the Hotspurs. Again, this group of players, you've had a few weeks. I know Coach was talking about trying to become a possession-based team.
Yeah.
If it's at all possible. Maybe talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, I think these last couple of practices we've been doing a lot of possession-based drills and working out of the back in a 4-3-3. And I think coming from such a possession-based team at Pitt, that I think that a couple of the guys from their colleges can bring that and relate it to the Hotspurs, just so that when we go to play games, we're not all over the place as some new team. We actually have some chemistry and we can play.
So what are the Erie Commodores in for? What type of approach are you guys going to?
I mean, I think they're one of the better teams on our conference. I've YouTubed a couple of their games just to watch them film, and I've heard from a couple of people that they have a strong front three and they like to play very direct. But I think they're going to be pretty surprised with what they're getting into this weekend with the talent we've had the past couple of practices.
Yeah, very exciting. It's Saturday night. They'll be playing at Edinburgh, which is kind of a unique location because there's obviously an annual tournament that's always played up there. I remember going up there years ago. But there's a lot of teams that will be up there for the weekend, including a lot of the youth Hotspurs youth teams will be up there as well. And then Saturday night will be an opportunity for all those programs to, if they're still up there. I've heard there's been more than 600 tickets sold already. A lot of the local Pittsburgh followers I know are talking about having a big tailgate at the game before the game and everything. So it's pretty exciting, isn't it?
Yeah, I trained two little kids. They're not little, but I think they're 12, and they're both on Hotspurs, and their dad's a physical therapist. And he told me, "Yep, we'll be there Saturday. We're gonna come to the tailgate," and it's just great to have people supporting you and behind you like that.
Yeah, and I'm sure Erie will. I'm sure because they're not that far away either. So it should be a pretty good atmosphere. I know the Erie. I've been to a few games up there, and they have a small but loud little supporter group up there. So that'll add some additional. What would you call it? Little festive. Make it a little bit more of a festive atmosphere for sure. So, all right. So in terms of the Hotspurs, this year, this team has Coach Campbell talked about setting any goals for the team this year? Like, what are you guys looking to do?
I mean, we haven't really set any goals yet, but I think it's pretty obvious that we're going to be a new team, and a lot of teams are going to overlook us. And I think that right now we're getting players situated in positions, and I think after the last practice, we've locked that down. And now it's time to become more as a team. I think everything we have to do from now till Saturday has to be together. We can't have people thinking that they're better than someone just because they're older or younger. We have to come together and be ready to play.
A couple other questions, just kind of off the topic a little bit, but just talk your background. You obviously going to Pitt, and that's not an easy school to get into and everything like that, and your coach has talked about being a complete player and really focusing on soccer. Have you had any thought on what your major is yet or anything like that?
Yeah, right now I'm going to be a sophomore coming up at Pitt educationally, and my major is global management, and next summer I'm doing an internship with American Eagle down in Southside.
Oh, all right. You got next summer already lined up? That's great.
My mother's been helping me with it, but yeah.
So global management, is that sort of under the business?
Yeah, in the business school.
Okay, all right, excellent. Wow, that's really great. So couple other things. Just growing up watching soccer, obviously, you mentioned something about your dad. Maybe tell the audience where you're a second generation Pittsburgh soccer player. So.
Yeah, I mean, growing up, my dad was all about soccer. He played at RMU. He was a left back, just like I was for 4 years, and his coach was John Kowalski, who was part of the U.S. national team, and he coached all over the place, and he was a big part. And I think the one thing that I try to be like my dad about is just anything he does, he gives it everything he can. I mean, if he's going to go into attack or he's going to come watch me play, he's going to criticize me after the game on what I need to work on because he wants me to be the best that I can.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but he was part of some pretty good RMU teams. It was in the early 90s. That's about when he played, right?
Yeah, and I think it was his last year, his senior season. I think that Jay was coaching for Wake Forest, and I'm pretty sure they play each other.
Wow,
he was coaching, my dad was playing.
Yeah, there's soccer circles. They kind of run close, and people
there's a small world.
know each other. Yeah, it's definitely a small world within the U.S. soccer world sometimes. But it's an ever-expanding U.S. soccer world, that's for sure. What about you? Who do you look up to in terms of favorite soccer players, that sort of thing?
I mean, I definitely follow a couple of my favorite players, but I think one is Antonio Griezmann. I mean, every time I watch him, he has a smile on his face, and I've watched documentaries on him, and just everything he does is just so professional. Mm-hmm. I mean, you watch him play, and the dude's always smiling. Like, who doesn't want to do something that's going to make you smile for the rest of your life that you could play with?
Yeah, he loves the game. He loves playing it, and so is that's kind of how you?
Yeah, I think that's it. I love the game. Every time I step on the pitch, I'm never like, oh, I gotta go to practice. It's always like, I'm here to get better and be the best player I can. I think that's one of the things I try to be like him about.
And being, you said you're hard-nosed, you like to go, 50-50 balls, things like that. We just had a situation where last week, Riverhound's new goalie, Austin Pack, had a few words for a guy taking a PK. Is there ever any little talking going on when you're out there and you're competing?
Nah, I mean, in the past, I've been a little bit like more talking, but recently I just do my job and keep my mouth shut. I think that's the best way to do it.
All right. Well, that's probably the best way to do it. Just trying to see if they're about that. Well, it's been great to get to know you a little bit better. We're looking forward to seeing, obviously this coming summer, watching the Hotspurs and hopefully get out to a few games. Pittsburgh Soccer Now, of course, we plan to be out there for covering. You'll get post-game reports on the Hotspurs as they progress. And we will try to get out to a few games as well. And we're really looking forward to that. Also wanted to make sure I cover a couple things before we let you go, where we finish up here. We at Pittsburgh Soccer Now, obviously, our coverage of soccer in the area is extensive. We have been all over the Riverhounds this past year, and this week leading up to this next game, they play at home against Charlotte on Saturday. So leading up to Saturday's game, we've had some coverage, a little bit of the backlash from the Memphis game last Saturday. Be sure to check out my article on that and the weather delay and all the USL rule changes. That is in there. Rachel McCrager just did a feature on somebody who was sitting in the studio last fall, Hugh Roberts, who is now playing for Charlotte. And as I mentioned, Charlotte will be visiting Highmark Stadium this Saturday night. 7 o'clock kickoff, I believe. So same time as you guys are playing, the Riverhounds will be playing at the same time. So look for reports on both games in Pittsburgh Soccer Now. You'll see that. Matt Geica, of course, continues to do his View from the Booth column every Wednesday. Be sure to check that out as well. Soccer Rabbi, our good friend Mark Goodman, who is also in the studio over the winter, I believe, he will be in providing the scouting report and preview for the Charlotte game. So don't miss that. That should be posting sometime Friday or early Saturday. And then, of course, like I said, we'll have full game coverage, both of the Riverhounds, and there will be definitely be a write-up on how you guys do on Saturday. So we're definitely looking forward to that. And before I let you go, one final thing you may notice, we have these T-shirts sitting here, say Support Local Soccer. I'm very happy to say that we have just got a nice batch of T-shirts. So you can visit Pittsburgh Soccer Now and find out how you can get these T-shirts. We will have a nice supply if you are interested in supporting our site, we will send you, at least with a minimum contribution of $30, I'm sorry, $25, we will send you one of these t-shirts, and we even have long sleeve t-shirts as well. And look, maybe down the road we might have some additional merchandise as well. But we're excited about covering the Hotspurs. We're excited about covering Steel City FC, and as we get into the fall months again, covering Pitt, covering Duquesne, covering all the local teams, and of course the high school scene, which is very, very popular on our site. We get a lot of interest. We will be out there covering WPIAL games and the PIAA playoffs and all of that. So if you're interested, if you can support our site, we really, really appreciate it. Any contribution, $25 or more, we will send you a t-shirt. So that's it. That's it for this edition of the Pittsburgh Soccer Show. Anthony, thanks again.
How you doing?
Good luck on Saturday.
Yep.
All right.
It's going to be a good one.
All right, it should be.
All right.